All right. Hi, everyone. Hope I'm not muted. Am I muted? All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me live for our Remarkable Shift live series. I'm your host, Dr. Renita Glenn White, go by Dr. V. And thank you again for coming. And we're going to talk about really goal setting and values and your intention. Make sure I'm on the other platforms. Let me know where you are joining us. If you are live, if you're watching the replay, let me know that as well. Okay, go live. So many things you have to click before you go live. So when some people say, "Oh, I didn't mean to go live," yes, yes, you did. There's so many things you have to do before you go live. All right. So again, welcome, everyone. Go ahead and record. All right, so I am super excited today. This one is going to be a little short. So, the Remarkable Shift live series is where it's more so about me training you some training you in something, teaching you about something, and really giving you practical tips and steps so that you can have a remarkable life, whether that's in business, whether it's in your professional life, well, business and your professional life and your career, all of those go together, and your life as a whole. And so, what we're talking about today, I want to really know if you are setting goals or if you have a vision that's bigger than just your goals, right? Because I believe that a lot of people are setting goals, and I fell into this trap before myself. A lot of people are setting goals just like something they want to accomplish, and it's not aligned to their big vision. And you're going to always hear me say this until I get more examples. But when you were going to school, if you went the traditional route to college, or if you went some type of post secondary education, or you were in your career and you had your eye on a prize for this particular, let's say, position, that was your big vision. So everything that you did funneled through that vision, right? So everything that you did, whatever courses you had to take, whatever programs you invested in, whatever trainings you went to, whatever assignments you did, or anything else funneled through that big vision. So you may have had goals along the way, which were milestones, but everything was underneath your vision. So what I want to talk to you about today are four categories of life. Now, you may have heard about the 9 areas of your life or the 12 areas of your life if you know anything about Life Book. But I've been doing some deep dive on certain things, and I just want to make sure that we really talk about it. When I got into the advice industry, I started out talking about the 9 areas of life, and that's where I got my first group of clients coming in where we worked together on that. But then I got sidetracked along the way, but now I'm back. And the reason why this is so important because you all know my mission is to bankrupt 1 billion burial plots, helping a billion brilliant people live a life poured out above ground before they go underground. And what that means is that I want to make sure that we all use our tags. Now, that's not mine. I got that from another mentor, but to really use our talents, gifts, and abilities. Talents, abilities, and gifts. So I wanted to make sure to say tags while we're still here on this planet, and not just so that we can have a good life. A remarkable life is a life that's poured out and extended beyond you. What can live beyond your legacy? And what, regardless if you have feelings toward him or not, or whatever your personal feelings are, think about Elon Musk. And I believe his company has, I think it's 100-year vision. You know, of course, is going to live well beyond him, but everything that he's doing, whether it's the Tesla trucks or the cars or SpaceX or anything else that he's dabbling in, it all relates to his 100-year vision. Now, you may not have a 100-year vision. I would invite all of us to really sit down and think about that. We don't have to get too bogged down into that, but what do you really want to leave behind other than a nice house, some cars, some money? Maybe you got into where you want to leave good character for your children or extended family members, but what else beyond that? And I don't believe that we were here on this planet just to have a successful career or family or business. I think it's beyond that. So what is that secret thing that you've hidden in your heart that is a huge desire? You're like, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. That is what I'm after. Those are the people I want to work with. What are the big problems in the world that you are solving? And I think with everything that has happened in the last couple of years, a lot of us have gotten tunnel vision trying to figure out how am I going to survive, or how is my business going to survive? And I'm gonna be, well, do I want to say this? I'll hold that. I'll hold that part. But seriously, so what are you doing beyond you? So the four areas of your life that I want to talk about, I'm going to show you this little this little chart. And I do a deeper dive with this when I work with clients, when I do my workshops. I do have one coming up this Saturday. It's an info session, and that information will be in the description box below, or go to my link tree and get the complimentary assessment so you can kind of see to where we're going to start off. All right. So it's called Amplify Your Authority, and it kind of relates to this diagram I showed you. So you'll notice that it says goals and values. If you don't know your 3 to 5 core values, like a lot of us have a lot of values, but at least your core 3 to 5, your 3 to 5 core values, excuse me, if you don't know those, then how are you making decisions? How are you funneling, your thoughts? How are you making sure that you are hitting those milestones and doing all the things that you need to do to accomplish what you need to accomplish on a daily basis? So we're still in the freshness of the new year, but this started dwindling down. I told you, I don't want you to have a janky January or a forgettable February or a miserable March. We want a joyous January, a fabulous and fierce February, and a miraculous March. So what are the first categories? The first one, LE. Now, this is in no particular order, but you may see like this one is probably going to, most people know about this one, but I'm going to start up here. So LE is for your life experiences, your life experiences. So I personally believe, this is just me, that we should touch all of these areas every time we have a goal, like maybe throughout the year. You may not accomplish everything, but if you split up your year in different quadrants, 4 quarters in a year, you can touch on multiple areas of your life throughout a whole year. So let's not give ourselves just a whole year to accomplish one goal. Let's give ourselves the whole year to move the needle forward in every area of our life. So sometimes that may just be a little bitty movement, which is still great progress, and sometimes it'll be a massive quantum leap. But that's up to you to decide, and however you put your plans in place. So what are life experiences? So I have here, it is what you want to experience, feel, and how you want to live. The moments that shape the richness and joy in your life. So this category focuses on the meaningful and enjoyable experiences you seek to create. So I'm reading from what I created when I work with private clients behind the scenes during the assessment, but I want to come out and give you all this foundational thing. So whether we work together or not, I still want you to broaden your perspective on what it means to have goals, to set goals, set intentions, and then to hopefully challenge you to take a deeper look into your life and what you really want to uh, experience now and to leave on the planet. So it covers these subtopics. So now we're in life experience, and you'll understand when we finish why it's in 4 quadrants, because like I said, you can touch on a few of these things every quarter of the year to make small improvements, and then by the end of the year you will look up and see that your life has drastically changed. Again, just like if you're going to school, you had the massive goal of completing a degree, but we took it year by year. And there were certain things and certain qualifications and certain qualifications and benchmarks you had to accomplish within that first year, right? So that first year was broken down into semesters. And again, you've heard me say this. And then those semesters were broken down by courses, and those courses were broken down by assignments. So you're going to treat your holistic life the same. So no more we're just looking at maybe our business and our career and then just our personal life. I talk about it in my book. Excuse me. embracing grit for greatness, becoming professionally powerful through personal empowerment. I talk about the power pentagon, which is five key areas of your life, and you're going to hear me talk a little bit about in the quadrants. The quadrant came after the book, but the book is still a solid foundation. And if you want the ebook version along with the training course, go to my link tree and you will see that on there. But I wrote that book because I was so caught up in living like two buckets of my life. I had my professional life and then I had my personal life, but then didn't realize that my personal life was involved with all these other things that we're going to talk about. So I don't want you to just get hung up on, okay, I go to work or I just work in my business and then I just come home and then just have, maybe I go to church or maybe I volunteer here and that's it. Your life is so much more. And believe it or not, a lot of you are living this, but you haven't been intentional about doing it. So no more living life by accident. We're living it by intention and by design. So some areas that are in the life experience category. What do you want to experience? How do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? So one area is adventure and creativity. So that is cultivating a sense of exploration. When was the last time you had some adventure and creativity in your life? I remember when I used to work with summer programs, we used to we always had some kind of field trip with the kids, or sometimes we would have those activities coming to us. And one was painting and arts and crafts, but making ceramics. And in high school, I actually took a ceramics class where I knew how to, I didn't have the wheel that you spin, but I knew how to take the clay and mold it, and then you dip it in the glaze and you put it in the kiln, and you do all of those things. I didn't realize that was an elective. So think about thank you, Jesus. Think about the electives of your life, just like you were in high school. You had electives, you had your core classes, your subject areas, your history, your mathematics, your English language arts, whatever they call it now, and in science. And then you had the ones where you could just breathe a little bit. You had some fun. So when was the last time you set a goal to have more creativity in your life? When I was on a VIP day with a client, she wanted to play the guitar, and something that she had thought about, but she had got so busy with work and being a wife and being a mom. And we put down in her plan, in her schedule, to set up time to actually learn how to play the guitar, and not just learn it. Like, what are the videos are you going to watch? What days of the week are you going to watch? Go buy your first, guitar, and so it can be a physical representation and letting you know that you want to do that. My grandfather also did that, and he wanted to learn how to play the guitar before he passed away. So what life experiences in the areas of adventure and creativity can you start planning for even now? So even if you did your goal setting already, I want you to just go back and revisit with this fresh perspective. The next part of life experience is spirituality and inner harmony. Now, for my people who are believers, let's not roll our eyes and be like Jesus on the main line, which is true. But if you're gonna focus on that spirituality and your faith, it is about inner peace and purpose and your relationship with God. And I'm trying to read and a higher power, but this is not woo-woo higher power. Here's the thing. There are people who have no relationship with Christ. They don't believe in God, and they have more faith in the higher power, which is called universe. It could be whatever they consider higher power. They have more faith than a lot of believers. So if you are saying that you are a believer and I'm still working in this area, you really do have to get your faith up, especially if you're going into business, if you are going into another level of your career. When we get through all of these areas of your life, if you're thinking about something that's well beyond you, where do you think you're going to get that strength and inner peace to know that you can continue to move forward? So when we're talking about your spirituality and inner harmony, for those of us who are believers, how do we want to experience God in our lives? How do we want our faith to show up? These are the things that you have to be intentional about, that you're not just, all right, I read my devotional this morning, that's it. Or I went to church on Sunday and I went to Bible study on Tuesday or Thursday. We used to go on Thursdays, and that's it. No, it's every day and everything that you do, but you have to be intentional about that. And the reason why this is up in life experiences, and honestly, faith goes through all of these categories and in the subtopics is because you have to, there's no way that you will keep pressing forward or allow yourself or give yourself permission to really dream big and then take action towards doing it, because you'll keep relying on yourself and you'll keep looking at your circumstances instead of trusting in God and having faith and knowing that he actually equipped you. So if you're not going to live by the scriptures or be intentional, like whenever doubt or whatever comes up and then go back to the scriptures, then stop saying that you want to be a believer. And that was a gut punch for me, right? All right. So we're still in life experiences. We already talked about adventure and creativity. I hope you're writing this down. We're talking about, then we talked about spirituality and inner harmony. And then your physical and digital space. This is your environment. We're still in life experiences. So the subtopic of physical and digital space. A lot of us are on your house, your home may be immaculate, but what about your digital files? What about your laptop? What about your phone and things like that? And you may not think that it's a big deal, but that if you have this clutter, and I know this because I've been working on my Google Drives and things like that, organizing them. When you open it up, even if it's just for a second, it creates like a little static noise, a little chaos that happens, even if it's just minor. And we don't want any of that. And then it also can lead to distractions. You know, you're working on something, you open it, and then this is an avoidance thing. And sometimes if you're working on something, you finally got the courage to move forward and send that email or make that pitch or whatever it is, then you'll be like, oh, I need to clean out my folders. And then you start doing that, and then you're avoiding because you really don't have the faith in yourself to move forward. So if you eliminate all that and really start cleaning that space, whether you do it yourself or you hire someone to support you in that, that is a that really does help you move forward with your goals and your intentions. And it's also value. So again, look at your values, and if you've done an exercise about your values, funnel that through about how do I want to experience my physical space and my digital space, and is it aligned with my values, and what about my big vision? If you want to solve world hunger or build, you know, you want to have a lot of real estate so that you can help people who are in need of housing, is going to require a level of organization, right? Both physically and digitally. So we have to start where we can start. So we can't ask God to enlarge our territories and we're not managing the territories that we currently have. The next part, we're still in life experiences. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 4 areas of life, and I'm talking about the quadrants, and we're here in LE, which is life experiences. The last one is social life and relationships. How do you want to experience your social life and relationships? So building strong, meaningful connections with friends, colleagues, and community. And then it includes nurturing those relationships and that provide support, joy, and it's I wrote balance in life, but I like harmony better. So a lot of us, we can build relationships. We can go make these connections, you know, like all these people, follow people, go get cars or put contacts in our phones, or, you know, however we get them. A lot of us can collect relationships, but how many of us actually nurture? And I am working on that. That is something on my list, to actually nurture the relationship. So sometimes you're like, oh, I'm alone, nobody wants to support me. There are people out there who want to support you, but are you nurturing that? Are you giving that support? Are you doing those things? And I have to be intentional about that. I have to, if you one of my friends, don't judge me, but I have to like schedule text messages, you know, sometimes, you know, when they come across my mind, I make sure I put it in there so I don't have the excuse of, oh, I've been texting you. And I do this with my sister, like, oh, I text you back in my mind, right? And I was like, no, let me stop where I am, even if it's not in if it's not at an appropriate hour. When I say, like, if I'm up really late, or I get up super early and I don't want to be texting anybody at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So if it's on my mind, I make sure I schedule it and then do it later in the day or later in the week when I know that, you know, they may have time to actually talk and call, and we can book out some time to talk. And then also, don't be so busy building that you're building your business or your career that you're not going out with your friends. Now, there's a time where you just need to put your head down and get to work, right? But you also need to come up for air and do things with your family and your friends. And sometimes your friends may be your colleagues because you're going in the same direction. Maybe you're in a membership or a group experience, and those are the people. If you're in those containers, build relationships within those containers. Don't just show up to like a mastermind call or a retreat or uh, a webinar and you're just sitting there. See who else is on there, because obviously they want to go and they're going in the same direction or possible direction. So just check them out on social media. Now, what I personally don't like is when people just want to talk for no reason and we haven't built anything up. Look, God's still working on me, but at least go see if they're out on social media and like a picture or make a comment, and things like that. So build up and nurture your relationship. So that's in life experiences. If you have not set a target or goal or an intention in life experiences where there is adventure and creativity, spirituality and inner harmony, your physical and digital space, or social life and relationships, then I invite you to go and reevaluate that. And if you want some support in that, then you can work with me or book a call with me and see how we can do that. One way I do that is through the Brilliance in Action Power Intensive, very short time together. So you're not overly committed for a long group program or a long consulting package. It is just a laser focused time with you and strategize and things like that. The information will be down below if you are interested, but get some support or you can do it on your own. Now, the second area I want to talk about, making sure that you are funneling your goals and values, is LP, your life progression. And life progression is really about your personal growth, or as I like to say, your personal leadership, your learning, and your continuous improvement. How you evolve into the best version of yourself. And then this category focuses on self-development and the pursuit of excellence. And it includes your education, your skill building, which have something for that. I am big on skills, and cultivating your emotional and mental mastery to help you grow and progress throughout life. So there are subtopics, but this is also about you, but not so much where you're beating yourself up or thinking that you are something to fix. It's not that you're something to fix. There are just some things you may need to unlearn or relearn or just learn. There are some things that you need to focus on and learn how to lead yourself, how to regulate yourself. Because if you're going to have this massive vision, then God needs to know that he can trust you. And then you need to know that you can trust yourself whenever certain situations arrive. So the subtopics in this group, and again, we are in LP of the quadrant. So learning progression. So LP is for your education and skills. Now, a lot of us who have traditionally trained, we have multiple degrees. We're not talking about that. So this is where you're going to have to do some work on yourself and talking with yourself or a mentor, an advisor, to where you're okay with still learning. I have five degrees, and I didn't realize there was an internal struggle with understanding business into entrepreneurship, because it was like, okay, this is easy. I should be able to get this. Like, I'm smart. I should be able to get this. Like, I'm not, like, come on now. But you have to be, no matter how brilliant you are brilliant. So it's not about the degrees, is about like you, and you're intelligent. But when it's something that's foreign, just like I didn't understand the quadratic equation when I first got into it, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, I knew I was going to get there because that was in the realm of mathematics. I had to take that same approach to learning about like real business, not just, oh, I got some clients, I made some money, like true business, that I was like, oh, this is what it's been. I had to allow myself to say, it's okay to learn a new skill set. It is okay to learn a new skill set, and you may not get it. And that was a little challenging for me. And it may be challenging for some of you who are, you're these top executives, you're vice president of whatever, chairman, CFO, CTO, CMO. And then when you're coming into a different arena, regardless of what it is, it could be basket weaving, right? You have to allow yourself to come in and put those walls down, and put those walls down and say to yourself, I am just learning something new. I know I will get it, and keep it moving. It has nothing to do, even if it takes you multiple times, 10, 11, 20 tries, that has nothing to do with your brilliance and your intellect, right? So you have to like shut down those stories and know that you will eventually get it. So that's what I'm talking about, skills, specific things, whether it's speaking, writing, doing video, or actual business, like the ins and outs of business, of learning that is a skill, and marketing. All those things are actual skills that you want to learn. So whatever your goals and values are, whatever your big vision is, your goals and values and your big vision, it has to be filtered. Whatever skills you need to learn, it all needs to be filtered through that lens. So that's education and skills. Oh, and then making sure that you're staying relevant. We always have to keep learning and reading. And I'm pretty sure like people who were around 20, 30 years ago had no idea what social media was going to be. And then the people who are younger, it's like it's always been here, right? So older people, not like older like in your age, but probably in your thinking, when things come up, these are just skills that you need to learn to stay relevant. And the reason why I don't say just because of your age, because there are a lot of older people that I'm in these rooms with, and they blow circles around the younger people when it comes to technology, is because they put themselves in position to learn that skill and constantly work on it. All right. Your character and your identity. So shaping your personal values, your ethics, and your self-concept. This involves reflecting on who you are, your purpose, and how you want to be perceived by the world. I don't think a lot of us do this work. And this is the inner work that people want to avoid, because everyone wants to go get the clients, everyone wants to go get the money, everyone wants to get, the followers, and all of those things are great. But if you are not working on yourself and your character, when those things come, then you're going to crumble, or that's where you're going to start feeling like a fraud or your inner gaslight, if you listen to the previous episode. So then that's when those things start coming up, because you haven't taken the time to work on your character. I was I was supposed to be on another call, but I'm doing my series first. But I was on one a couple weeks ago, and it was about your personal leadership, or she called it your self leadership. And she said, even as an 8-figure business owner, and then having friends with other being friends with other 8-figure and 9-figure business owners, it all comes down to the inner work that you're doing on yourself. So really take time to work on your character and identity. And if this is the work that you're going to overlook, then you're not going to grow. You're not going to expand, because you have to adopt and live the identity of where you want to go before you get the stuff. So be, do, have. I know you've heard that before, but that's what that means. The other part of that is life progression. Again, back in the quadrant, the subtopic of life progression is your productivity and your habits. So building effective routines and habits that help you achieve your goals, manage your time effectively, and stay focused on your personal and professional outcomes. A lot of people avoid this too. You get into this kind of routine that you've been doing, and you think you're successful, but it's gotten you to a level of success, but it no longer serves you. If you truly set your goals and intentions based on your big vision, and you funnel it through your values, you will realize that you need to shift your habits and your routines and the things that you do on a daily basis. I know I've had to do that, myself, a way that I like to create certain things. And it was like, well, you can't create in this space anymore, because now your focus is on doing this. So where you is easy for you now, it served you well before, but now we need to adjust how you're doing these things, because your time is needed elsewhere. And so when you're looking at your habits and your routines, I talk about the full focus calendar. None of this is sponsored. They're not cutting me a check, but anybody's calendar or system pretty much works if you work it. But I like that they have the perfect week in there and the perfect day. And then if you do that, even though everything may not come out that way, but if you look at what it would take for you to have what you want to have and to be the person you want to be, and you constantly look at it, you'll start adjusting and adapting what you're currently doing, or learn something new, like build out a new schedule, set better boundaries, and or set boundaries period. And then you'll learn how to move throughout your day. A lot of us waste more time than we want to admit, but if we truly laser focus on our productivity and our habits, we'll be surprised at what we can accomplish within a short amount of time. Still within that category of life progression is your emotions and well-being. Again, I told you this area was a lot of focusing on the inner work that a lot of people tend to avoid, or you may think like it's woo-woo, who needs that? And I was like that. But then I went so far, on the end of the spectrum of really working on myself and understanding what transformational work is and all the deep dive work, that it was so much heavy work over there where I wasn't doing the tactical and the practical. You have to do, oh, what popped up? You have to do both. You need both. You need time to where you are doing that inner work and that character building and working on your emotional well-being, so that you can be strong enough on the inside to do this outer tactical type work. Okay. All right. So the next one is mindset and mental. Oh, wait. Did I say that managing your emotions? Oh, wait, this thing just popped up on my. All right. I'm coming. Okay. So, emotional well-being, managing emotional intelligence, resilience, and mental health. I talk a lot about that in my book. And adaptability. We need to learn how to be more adaptable. And then mindset and mental mastery, developing a growth mindset, mental toughness, and again, adaptability. This area focuses on mastering your thought patterns and overcoming obstacles and achieve high levels of personal performance. It is a mental game. It is a mental game, and how you work through your thoughts. And I know, again, people are like, I don't want to work on that. Just tell me the strategy. I was like that because I'm like, just give me the formula. Tell me exactly what to do. And people have handed things to me, and I'm just still sitting there like, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do, but you have not built that mental fortitude to overcome the negative head chatter in your mind, or when something doesn't work out, instead of you balling up in fetal position and it's taking you a whole month to work through it, you're not bouncing back as quickly, or you're not getting the help, or there's so many barriers in your way. It's taking you too long to go send emails or pitches or this, that, or whatever it is, right? So that is the work, and that's where I specialize in mostly, is your mindset and your mental mastery, which allows you to perform at those levels. You already know how to do it, especially if you're a high level career person, executive, if you have multiple degrees, if you are at the top position, whatever you are excelling at, you've had some mindset and mental mastery work done, but it was done unconsciously. So imagine if you actually are intentional about it, how much more you are able to accomplish. All right, so we are winding down, two more categories. So LC, right here, our life contributions. What are our life contributions? This is how you give back or create an impact, leave a legacy, your influence on the world around you. So you may not be like well known when you pass away, but I do believe that depending on your vision, and I pretty sure it's a huge one because I attract people who want to solve big problems, you will at least have, community impact, right? People in your area, community, or online. And we'll say online too, because now in this day and age, it's easier to become like this phenomenon, right? I believe that you can leave a bigger impact if you live out the mission that God has designed for you to accomplish. And so you want to create a meaningful impact. You may not lead marches, but you may be someone's right or left-handed person to help them with their movement. It's not always about the person being in the front. Your calling, your vision, which is attached to your assignments and your calling and your purpose. So I we're not gonna get bogged down on the words, but you know what I mean. It may not be to be the front and center person. You may not be the person that's on the stages, you know, the big stages, or with the cajillion followers, or things like that. But you may be the person that helps that person, or you put things in place to help that person move their mission forward. And you are like their anchor. You are like they, you know, you need four wheels to get the car moving. You are one of the tires that they couldn't do it without you. They probably could have, but it would have been a struggle, or you were created just for this time, for such a time as this. Just like Esther and Mordecai. Esther was the queen. Her uncle Mordecai, even though yes, we know him in the Bible, but he wasn't front and center at first. He was there to get Esther into position so she can do what she needed to do. And there are so many characters like that. Well, people in the Bible like that, but look at our lives. There are so many people that we see on the front screen. You can see like Tony Robbins, but we don't know, like he has a massive engine that's behind him. Same with Beyonce, same with Oprah. Insert your person that you know that come to mind. So you may be that person who helps fuel that engine. So just like in the Bible, there are no small parts. You know, we all need it, like even your little pinky, and you may not think you need a pinky, but it was there for a reason. Or your eyelash, you know, those little parts, there's nothing insignificant. So whatever your vision is, whatever God placed in your heart, it is still massive and it is still needed to leave an impact. So that's why you have to do all of this and filter everything that I'm saying through the lens of your vision. Because if you're only thinking that your success or your legacy is about, you know, building a platform or being front stage and center, or having all this money just to have, or whatever it is, your thought of that, you're not going to accomplish what you need to accomplish. So you know your vision. You need to take time to really sit there and get in alignment, and then say, well, how do I want to leave a legacy that's as it relates to this vision and my value. So some ways to do this in some areas to do this is parenting and mentorship. So you may not be a parent, or you may not have a desire to be a parent, and that's totally fine. But I do believe that you have something in you to where you can do some type of mentorship to someone that's younger, because you know you have life experiences or career experiences or whatever experiences and expertise to help guide young people. And you know, and it may just be volunteer, it may be once a week, once a month, where you do some work, you know, whatever that is to you. But that is another way. Some of you who are like, well, I just always want to have a big family. Well, look at that through the lens and of your big vision. How can you leave a legacy through your parenting, and you can be really laser focused on how you want to bring up your kids. I was in a group experience with someone, this lady one time. She's a good friend, and I always admired how she was so intentional about raising her three kids. Like she didn't just say, "Oh, I have three kids, I'm doing things." Like she built a whole business around helping people be intentional with their kids, because people saw how intentional she was and the relationship that she has with her kids. So don't just brush it off and say, "Oh, I'm just a parent," or don't feel like you don't have a legacy to leave behind because you don't want to be a parent. So think about parenting and mentorship for a life contribution. All right, community impact and influence. I believe a lot of us can do a whole lot more in our communities, and I have been guilty of this and getting and wanting to get back into it. You know, my mom had us like, even my mom had me like this, and in college and even post college when I was a part of certain organizations where we did things, not just sit up there and talk about it, but we were out in the community, we were out in the shelters, we were out cleaning up the streets, we were out painting houses, we were out setting up, you know, for different events, you know, with the elderly or with the people who don't have homes. We were out there doing the work. And then I can speak for myself, and it may be true for you, but sometimes you get so caught up in your current circumstances that you stop focusing on the outward community. So it doesn't even have to be that big. One time I went somewhere and we volunteered with just separating soap. And, they would, I think like all the hotels or something would just donate their old soap. So we would have to go through and see what was still used, what could still be used, and what was just trash. And they would give those and take them down to the shelter so that people who were, I forgot what it's a word that they're calling them now. It's not homeless anymore. So many new terms. I forgot the word, but if you know, put it down in the chat. But they took it down there for the people and made these little baggies so either they could wash in the shelter or they can take it with them, and wherever they go find water, they would be able to cleanse themselves. So that's a way that you can leave an impact. And people may never know my name at the soap place, but I know that I was a contribution and I want to get back into that. So think about it that way. That's how you can have community impact and influence, right? Career and business, we talked about that, the professional mark that you want to leave and focusing on building and contributing to industries or businesses. Um, Everyone should have a side thing of a business, like additional income, some kind of way coming in, because that's how you can funnel a lot of things and do resources and things like that. Leadership and influence, leading with vision, inspiring others, and using your influence to drive positive change in your business, community, or industry. It focuses on your ability to guide people toward growth and impact. You know that people listen to you when you say or do anything. Start filtering that, start using that for your good. I have a really good friend is like, no matter what he says, people will fall over and do that. And I was like, use your powers for good, and you'll be surprised about whose life you can change if you just redirected your energy that way. And then I already said legacy and impact, the lasting mark you want to leave behind, extending beyond your career or contributions to society at large. So again, those categories in the subtopic of life contribution, it all relates to your vision, is parenting and parenting and mentorship, community impact and influence, career and business, value and purpose. Oh, I didn't talk about that, but that goes into what we're talking about. Leadership and influence, and legacy and impact. Now, you may not pick all 6 of these, but you can highlight a few of those for that area. And you may not get to these areas until later on in the year, but at least they're part of your master plan. All right, as we're wrapping up, who's still with me? Put it down in the comments. And if you're watching on replay, let me know if you're still with me still. So now LF, which is life foundations. This is why I said this one could have gone first, because you do want that foundation in place before you do everything else. But I didn't want to just say, hey, you have to start here, because to me, I believe it all depends on the big vision that you have for your life. And then you need to filter everything I'm saying through that big vision. So the foundational well-being that sustains all the other areas, right? Focus on health, finances, and balance, which also is harmony, to keep your life on track. This category encompasses the foundational elements that provide stability and support across all other aspects of your life. Now, when I go through these, a lot of you have probably heard them already. Part of them were, I did all of this after I wrote my book, Embracing Grit for Greatness. And there I talk about the power pentagon, because that's typically, those are typically the 5 areas that you hear about when people are saying, what to focus on in your life. So the subtopics for the life foundations category is your health and fitness, which is your physical well-being and your nutrition. So it's not about just getting fit and fine, but it's also about your internal fibers. Yeah, I was trying to look for another F, but it's also about how you're feeling internally, your nutrition, and what you're actually fueling your body. If you have this massive vision in your life, and massive is relative as it relates to you, you cannot do anything if your body is not at optimal fuel. And if you want to trying to have 100-year legacy, then your life you expect to at least see a big part of that legacy being built. There are people, I look on YouTube and I must have liked one too many of these pictures, but they on my feed I'll see veterans celebrated his 100th birthday, or neighborhood grandma celebrated her 108th birthday. I don't remember where it was, but somebody, I think it was 118 that somebody just passed. But people are, it is possible to live at 100 or over 100. I think former President Jimmy Carter, I think he passed away at 100 years old, and I think his wife was in her 90s, right? So a lot of us are 30s, 40s, 50s, and maybe 60s and still have life to give. If you're 70, my grandmother just turned 84, and she'll tell people she's 48, right? So having your you want to make sure that you take care of the body that you have, so that you're not just existing, that you're still living, and then you're living towards that legacy that you're building. Money and finances. You need money, people. We need money, especially to fund those get the resources and to fund our big visions. And this is money that's just beyond you wanting to get out of debt, or just leaving something for your family. Please start there, though. Those are great things to have, but then what money do you need to generate? What money do you need to generate so that you can resource your big vision? Now, a lot of times it may not be your resources, and other people will be giving you resources, but you also need to work on your money mindset so that you can attract those things and not turn down, not so that you're not repelling money. I didn't know I was repelling money. Like, I was really good at saving whatever money I was able to generate. So if it was coming to, well, earn, I'll say, as a job. So when it was coming to me, I knew how to save and do all the things. But then coming to entrepreneurship, and where it was, the money was relying, on me and the things that I had to do outside of having a job. And then my energy, it was like, oh my gosh, I was getting anxious. Like, how am I going to do this? And money was like, I'm not coming over there. I'm not coming over there. So I had to do some inner work, because it was more than just learning how to save money and creating a budget. But now is you are generating, how to attract it. You know how to talk to people who have significantly higher net worth than you do, or net worth. They're generating millions and millions of dollars. Can you have conversations with them and communicate your big vision so that they want to give you money? Or if you're going out there and you have your business and you have your fees, can you confidently say your prices with certainty and conviction, and then showing people the value that you provide without stuttering, and then people can be like, oh yeah, I want to borrow your confidence. I believe in what you do and help me, and then they pay you. So all these different things, where money is always circulating, you have to work on your money mindset and your finances. And the reason why finances is different is because you need to know how it all works. You need to get some help. Taxes, profit loss, your assets, and what's depreciated, all those things you need to know, right? So that's another skill set that you need to learn, but you don't have to learn on your own. You can get professional help, but it starts with your approach to money and healing your own issues with money. Because how are you going to, if you're in business, how are you going to expect people to purchase anything with you when you are afraid to purchase anything from anyone else? So work on that. So it is your financial health and your financial literacy, which is a real thing. Financial literacy is a real thing. And that, again, managing resources, building wealth, which is, yes, we have our wealth that's not related to money. So I'll say like riches. So focusing on your riches, like, how am I going to be a good steward over this? I had someone tell me, another good friend, she's in taxes, accounting, something like that. She has a tax company, and she was, I think the phrase, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but it's own nothing but manage everything. And so when you have that mentality, you know that, first of all, God put us here to be stewards. So we don't really own anything, but the things that are in our possession, we still need to know how to manage and distribute those things as well. So whatever you have, I don't care if it's $2. How are you managing that $2 before you start going to God and ask him for 20,000, 20 million, 200 million, whatever it you would need to fuel your big vision? And then leisure and recreation. Yes, that is in the life foundation, because you do need to prioritize downtime and relaxation. Creativity and anxiety cannot live in the same place. So when you chill out, you'll find that you'll get your most creative ideas. That's why a lot of people have, massive inspiration in the showers, because you're not thinking about anything else. Or you'll hear top entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, whatever, they go away and have these month-long, staycations, or they're not staycations, they don't stay, but vacations, or they just go away for these retreats and they come back, energized, got a whole new business model, or they started a whole nother business. Is because they prioritize that downtime and allow their brains to just woosah, right? And you need that, and you need to schedule it. So it is part of the quadrant, and it is part of your value system, and it needs to be related to your big vision. So rest and rejuvenation, and make sure that you enjoy life. And then, yeah, the last area I have is spouse and family. So whether you're married or not, or in a long-term relationship or not, it all still goes together. You need to make sure you build those relationships. So this is about reflecting on strong family foundations, emotional and structural support. If you're having this big vision and then you don't talk to anybody in your family about it, not saying that they need to understand it, not saying that they need to have all the details, but I believe you should be able to communicate it with them so that they don't think that you're over here crazy. A lot of people didn't understand when I went to school full time to get my PhD. I left my career and was like, all right, I'm out. And then so when people are like, oh, well, why are you leaving? This and that. Or when my friends were like, why you can't hang out with us? And this, that, and the other. I did explain to them. I was like, look, I want to finish in 3 years. The program is set up that way. And this is what it is. And they were like, oh, we wouldn't have done that, or we still think you can do both because you've been to school before, but at least we get it. So, or at least you told us and we can kind of get it. So I didn't need to convince them. I didn't need to be like, whatever things were going to come up, but I did communicate that. And then especially, and then with my grandmother as well. At first I treated it like, well, grandma, I've been to school just like every other time, but this one was different. So I had to approach her differently and share some things with her. And I got support, excuse me, that way. All right. And the other part is it does help you avoid burnout. You do need to. So in my doc program, there were multiple married couples, but there were two that I knew of. One, their relationship got stronger, and one, it ended up in divorce. The one that got stronger is because she would communicate with him about the late nights she stayed on campus, or not being able to go with their friends because they had a really active lifestyle before she did all this. And so she like pattern interrupted their whole life and everything. But she was making sure that she communicated. And then there were times where she was like, well, this assignment, I won't be able to meet with the group. I'm still going to go be with my husband. Or she was like, all right, y'all, can y'all have a later study time so I can do this with my husband, or vice versa? She would communicate those things and everyone understood. The lady who did get divorced, she was just like, well, this is my dream. I've always wanted to do this. Nobody's going to hold me back. And I was like, you got a partner here, right? So and they were married for a good minute. I mean, I don't want to judge their relationship, but it's like, you know who you married, but hey, that I'm staying out of that. But she didn't communicate. She was just so focused on, this is what I'm going to do. But it's like, you have a partner here. And then so she would get burned out, and then she would just bring all her problems, to her husband, complaining. It was just so much. But you want to make sure you have those structural things in place, and that you're nurturing those relationships so that they don't burn out because of your vision. And then do things to create those bonds. So when you do have those valleys, your bond, and that goes with friendships too, but your bond is tight enough to where you can weather that storm together. Whew, that was a lot. All right, so thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed the our quadrant here, our 4 categories of life, so that you can start making remarkable shifts in your life, because it only takes one shift to start having a remarkable life. And I invite you to go back through your vision and go through, just look at your goals and see if you're touching on all of these areas. It doesn't mean that you need to hit them all in January or February. Some of them may be delayed, but at least they're in a calendar year so that you'll know what you're working towards. And if you would like support with that, be sure to register for my upcoming infotainment session, kind of working session on Saturday. The information will be down below. You will need to register for that, or what's the I'll put it in the chat, but if you're listening, go drvernitaglenn-white.com/3R live, and then you can read about what we're doing, and then you can register there. You must register. It is complimentary, but that is a working session, so you're not just listening to me on video, and you can actually get live feedback, and there will be a questionnaire for you to complete so that it is a curated experience just for you. Even if it's one person or if it's 100 people, I will make time, because if you give me your time, I want to make sure that I value that. And it's not just like a webinar where you just sit here and listen to me. We're going to go through a framework, and I want to make sure that you leave supported with some tangible and practical tips to take away so that you can start living a remarkable life today. All right. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share, do all of the things on whatever platform you're watching. And remember, whether you're beginning your day or ending your day, remember to be well, to be empowered, to be bold, and to be brilliant. Until next time. Bye.